Hey everyone, Tony Winston here, Jazz Piano College. That's a song called Mood Indigo by Duke Ellington. And that's me kind of playing around with an arrangement that I wrote out several years ago and then completely forgot about it. And, I'm not really following it note for note, but I'm including some of the kind of the cool things there that I did write out. What Art Tatum does when he doesn't go to the 6th chord, he goes to the flat 6th chord before, moving his way back to A flat. Something I hardly ever do in a YouTube video, that is to interrupt the flow by asking you to subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Save all that for the end. I know you don't want to turn on the video and have to sit through me advertising something. And another thing is I edit my videos, I take out the ands, the ums, and when I go off on a ramble. I don't want to waste your time. But a YouTube creator like myself, we can decide where the ads will be, like at the beginning, the end, or in the middle. All right, so, I started off with some big voicings here. And then, I wrote in did I mention everything about this channel is free. You do not have to subscribe to Patreon to get all the stuff that you need. Sheet music down in the description. You click on it and it just pops right up. You don't have to go to my website or read about me or put in any personal information. So there you go. Back to our song. We got a nice big fat minor 11th chord. So I did this. Yeah, and I have a nice little moving line here. And I realized, when you're doing this progression, it's very common that a good melodic line is to start on the 6th and go down chromatically. Yeah, so I thought that was a good idea. I love Art Tatum. Whatever's written up there is kind of an Art Tatum riff, but what I did was this. One of these 2-fingered riffs here. And the thing about doing those big cascading riffs is you got to know in advance where you're going. So I had to know I wanted to end on that. All right, so. All right, even if I'm not quite there, I got to be able to jump to it quickly. That's a thing called constant structure. So I took the E flat 7th chord and just moved it exactly chromatically. And I think in my arrangement, I let the left hand kind of help me out with the melody. It's not very practical. And then I think I have some weird chord like that, which I would not use today. See, I knew where I was going. That chord was under my fingers, and I think I did the riff that's up there at the top, which is like... It's like an F minor and a C, because those are triads that fit over the B flat 7th chord. There. All right, now here, I'm going to do a little turnaround here that's just crazier than batshit. I got the idea from 2 places, Keith Jarrett and Beethoven, on eBay the other day, and I came across, both volumes of this, the Arthur Schnabel edition of Beethoven's sonatas, and the first crazy thing that happened was I was playing through one of these sonatas. My wife and I both looked at each other and went, Succession. Of course, I'm not the first person to discover this. And in a future video, I might, compare the two. If I was Beethoven, I'd be filing a lawsuit right about now. So here's the turnaround. First, I go to the Keith Jarrett chord that I talked about a minute ago, which is this, all right? And why does this work? Because if you take a dominant 7th chord, right, you got the 3rd and the 7th, but you add a bunch of altered tensions. And let me do this in the key of C just to demonstrate it real quickly. So here's the root, the 3rd and the 7th. The altered tensions would be the flat 9, the sharp 9, the sharp 11, and the flat 13, all right? So if you use enough of these, you can get rid of some of these, all right? You don't really need the 3rd or the 7th if you got some altered tensions going in there. I'm not saying this is going to work every single time, but it works a lot. So let's take like this chord, for instance. All right, there's a C. I've got the 3rd. I've got a flat 9, but I've got no 7th. But you can hear that it's going to function as a dominant 7th chord. You barely miss the 7th. All right, and maybe another example would be at that time I didn't have an altered tension, but I have this altered tension. This is just the regular 13. But even that sounds like a dominant 7th chord. All right, let's take Keith Jarrett's example here, and I'll have to go back to his key, which is so it came out of Someday My Prince Will Come. So what does he have there? He's got the flat 9 and the sharp 9, the sharp 11, and the 7th. So he's missing the 3rd. He's got the 7th in there, missing the 3rd. All right. So I can use that chord, and I'm going to use it in my turnaround. And this is one reason why I got up and tuned the piano this morning, because I did this video yesterday, and to hear chords like this, the piano's got to be in tune. It really does, because there's a lot of dissonance going on there, and on an out-of-tune piano, it just doesn't sound very good. Even on an in-tune piano, to a lot of ears, I'm sure at least 80% of you are going, that chord sucks. And it kind of does. All right, so now I'm going to go one step further with this chord. If you play this, you can slide those 2 notes up, and then you get just a regular flat 9 chord, dominant 7th. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing down here. Let's see, that would be. And also, you have to play these chords kind of softly. If you bang them out too loud, then the overtones get all mixed up or something. It doesn't sound as good. All right, let me go one step further. Beethoven wrote this piece called the Chromatic Sonata. At one point, he goes like this. All right, now this is the dominant chord because he's moving back to this. But that's the first thing he starts off with. All right, so let's see what that is. It's the sharp 11. I guess that's 13. And the flat 9. So I was thinking to myself, I said, Self, what else could you add to this chord? How about the sharp 9 as well? Okay. So what do I got here now? Like a B flat minor 7 flat 5, or a B flat half diminished over a G. Let me do it again. You see, and you can slide all 3 of those notes, or even just like 2 of them, or so you get some pretty rich stuff. My chord is going to be, instead of A flat minor 7th here, I'm going to use A flat minor 7 flat 5. All right, so this gets even worse. All right, it's a horrible. But check it out now. So using some of that little motion kind of makes it sound good. And that's really what Beethoven is doing too. He's going from that to this. He's moving that to this. And then, okay, so there's that. All right, let's get over to the second page here. So just some nice big open voicings here. And then going to A flat like that. All right, we've talked about this in the past, that instead of just using a dominant chord, you can go a half step below the chord here. Do a sharp 9, goes right into it. Steely Dan does it all the time. And then here it is, the mystery progression. Now, if you start that right on the beat, you can actually get it to follow this bass line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom. Using the triplets there. So, it's kind of a constant structure thing again here. Wrote the arrangement, I remember writing the first half of it in about 45 minutes, or maybe even less. And then I got to this part, and I probably spent like an hour trying to figure out something that really works here. And so that little progression there, I gotta say, I understand it better now, but I was just really just hunting and pecking for the right notes when I got there. All right, and this is using that diminished structure that you can use, All right, if you don't know about that, I've got a million videos about the diminished scale and all the things you can do with the chords that are derived from it and all that kind of stuff. But that's what's happening here. So, and then a little tritone substitution again. And a little parallel harmony, or whatever you want to call it. And down here I did actually write A flat minor 7 flat 5, or A flat half diminished over the B flat. And you can flat that 5 too if you want to. And then I wrote this turnaround here too. All right, kind of a locked hands George Shearing. I almost said George Gershwin, George Shearing. All right, so got an octave with a bunch of that diminished stuff in between, and then a B flat minor 9th, and then a real low version of E flat dominant, but without the E flat even. So. All right, and then what I usually do at the end of the video is thank you very much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. And if you'd like to support the channel, I have a Patreon, a link to Patreon over there. I have some wonderful supporters over there, and I really appreciate it. The box that you can check or uncheck is the one that puts the ads in the middle. So I always uncheck that box. I use a real piano. I want it to sound good. In the wintertime, I'll tune it every week. Right before I do a video, I'll tune the piano. And this morning, I got up and tuned the piano. Another thing I don't do, I might do a little bit of this now because I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. I just crossed 85,000, so is to use clickbait, because I read your comments and I take requests. It's not just my people on Patreon and my people on PayPal and stuff. Anybody who wants to leave a request, I will definitely consider it, whether it's a pop song, a classical song, jazz song, how to make a good bass line, how to play stride piano. There's a PayPal link as well if you want to use that for like a one-time donation. I really appreciate that as well. And just leaving a comment, hitting the like button, and of course subscribing is the greatest thing you can do all day. Folks, I will be back with you again very, very soon. Thank you for your support and take care.